Peace and love, everybody. This is Black Kojak coming at you. Um, yes, you see trees behind me. I'm actually in the woods today, just enjoying life. I just finished my shift, and I just wanted to share this because I just had to bring it out. You know, a million videos. People could see a million videos, but I just wanted to share my story and my part. This story is basically about bigging people up. Okay, it's a story time. First and foremost, big shout to all the Africans. First and foremost, I don't know about your site, but my site has a boatload of Africans, and I just want to give them a shout out because they on timing at my building. So just had to let you know that they are on timing. I'm just trying to adjust something here. They are on timing, and I just like, yo, big shout out to the Africans in the building. They populate my whole building. So anyway, story time goes as follows. So there's a lady, let's call her Rita. All right, she looks like a Rita. She's an older lady. I met her, say about a year and a half, 2 years ago, in PAC. AFE 1 to be exact. That's when I was on my AFE 1 track. I used to go to AFE 2, and then it got a little crazy and spooky and shady and scary. It was scary. It was just too much going on, so I decided to just move my way away from that space and went to AFE 2 downstairs. So anyway, I was an ambassador at the time, and I had one person that I was, basically training to do PAC. I believe she came from another building that I was training. She came from another building, but basically she just kind of just wanted to know how we work it on our building. So basically, I'm with her the whole night. So the first shift, not the first shift, but the first half of the day, we went to one station, and I'm showing her the ropes on that first 6:30 to 10:30 shift. So she's getting it. She's got it. She's a little rusty, but basically I just helped her polish her skill in packing. All right, so time goes on. She gets the work done. Time to go to break, 10:30. Come back at 11. So we go back to the QB desk. I mean, not the QB desk, but we go back to the front desk, find out what the next station is. Oh, the station is here. Okay, come on. We're gonna go to the next area, next station. Of course, I have my Kindle and tracking her performance. We were at the next station. So next to her, Rita is there. Now Rita is a little old lady, looking. She's pretty. Like I guess you could define her as like a sweet old little lady. She had a skull cap, glasses, and still wearing a mask, to protect her mouth from the coronavirus. So I was like, yeah, she's an older lady, little old lady that still think the coronavirus is in the air and she don't want to get infected. So anyway, she was next to me. And so as time was going by, we happened to find a way to have conversation. The person I trained, and Rita and myself happened to find a common ground of conversation. Rita is asking me, now Rita was fairly new, because the reason why I knew that is because the questions that she was asking me, being that I'm seasoned, and she was overhearing that I'm training her or retraining her, and as I'm being an ambassador. So she's very scary, very nervous about keeping her job. And as I explained from the previous video, that I'm the type of individual, this is just a sidebar, that if this lady was my mother, I probably would jump out the window, because I would be darned if I let my mom work. Period. This woman should be retired. Like, I know enough from her disguise. She had glasses and a cap and a mask. I could just look at her shape and form and the way she's having a conversation. I could just tell from her demeanor that she's an older lady. So moving on, she sees that, we're handling our business, and she's just asking me, because I sound like I was experienced, she's asking, what's the rate here? I said, I believe, and don't quote me on this because it's been a while. Of course, I know this is more intense, but I think I told her it's like $300 an hour. Something along those lines. That's not the point of the conversation, but let's just say I said it was $300 an hour. Oh, we gotta make $300 an hour? I was like, yes, we gotta make $300 an hour. What happens? She asked me, what happens when you don't make $300 an hour? I said, well, first you get a warning, and then after that you get a write-up. This was before the term feedback was in the picture, right? So this is 2 years ago. The word feedback, which is a soft word for you saying, you get a warning of getting written up. I think a feedback, if I'm not wrong, a feedback is a write-up. But it's like feedback is like a sweet word. I'm just glad that they didn't have it at that time. So, but anyway, I just told her, like, yeah, you get a warning, and after a certain amount of warnings, you get a write-up. I think that's how the pattern goes. So she's like, oh, you get a write-up? I don't want that. Like, she was just very, like, nervous, like, of getting fired. And I'm like, don't worry. I told her at the time, I'm like, don't worry, don't sweat it. Like, you get a warning before you get a write-up. They don't work that way, where they just get you out of here. No, you get a warning, and they'll tell you your rate. And because not all buildings, or not all PAs, not even the, what do you call it? Let's just say the word helpers. I can't remember. PGs, they don't come around every hour to give you your rate. Sometimes they're just too busy. They can't do that. So I just told her, I said, just stay on your P's and Q's, do your job. You're not that millennial, so you should be straight. She's like, yeah, I know, but I just don't want to get written up. I said, just chill. Like, you'll be I didn't tell her in that way, but I just told her in a sensitive way. I'm like, generously, I said, just chill. You'll be fine. What if then she started asking, well, what if you can't find the item that you're looking for? I said, well, there's a 3-point process. First, you look around the area, look around the shoot, and then I think at that time you don't ask the rebidder, because they doing their thing. Like, they don't have time to slow down. They have also a rate to meet. So I'm not sure if it was at that era where you don't say nothing to them, or it was. Either way, there's a system that you have to do before you miss out the item. So I told her that, and she's like, whoa, like, she just was like, oh my gosh, well, I just hope that doesn't happen where I miss an item. And I'm kind of like telling her, like, ma'am, you're so sweet. I'm almost borderline telling her, bless your heart. Like, oh man, you're just fine. Just calm down, right? So this was 2 years ago. I think at that time I told her, maybe not, but I told her, if you're having issues about getting written up, maybe you should, evolve and just do problem solve, like do a just do a job where you're coded. I think I said that. If not, we're going to get into that. So that day went by, I've never seen that lady ever again. I see her in passing, and that tells me in passing from the 2 years that we had that she's doing good. Like, there's nothing to worry about, and obviously she's keeping up with the speed, because she's an older lady, but with her being so nervous about getting fired, she kept the pace, and she's on her she's on her own tail. Like, she's writing herself, she giving herself a warning every single time she works. So I see her in passing, but we don't say hi to each other. I just see her in passing from a distance. All right, so I said that to say this. So today was a day that I don't like, because to keep your permissions, which I wish I don't have ever again, but to keep your permissions in pack, you got to go there every 3 months to keep your permissions. Hey, I just worked there. I'm the type of gentleman that I don't like to shake things up. What's established is established, and if I don't, like I told you before, if I don't like it, I would leave. But I said, you know what? I'll work this whole day. Truthfully, I was told you could work 5 minutes to keep your permissions, and then you could get the freak off and go to robotics. Go back to doing what you normally doing, which is problem solve or jam clearing, the MRS, damage land, whatever you're at. You can go back to doing whatever you're doing in regards to being coded. But this day, I actually came in late, and so I had to, there was no, all the amnesty responders for the robotics was full. So I was forced to go to my path. I'm like, dang, I gotta go to my path. I'm this close to saying, I'm thinking about using that personal, because I really don't want to be here, because there's always something. Last time I was there, I had feedback because I had missed out like a total of 8 items, and I actually forgot. Well, actually I didn't, because I was told to leave the rebanners alone. But then again, it's 8 items. It was my responsibility to address that. It was like, or maybe it was 8 items, and I missed out like 5 of them. That's a heavy order that you missed out. So an hour later, I actually got approached by those people and said, hey, what happened to these 8 items? And I told them, and I was told I had feedback, or I think I just had feedback. I didn't have a write-up. I don't care. The past is the past. Let's move on. So today I went to my path, did rebin. And this lady that I was telling you about, Rita, was my partner next to me. So if anyone doesn't know about Rebin, is you have your station, you have your station, she has her station, and you share a station. I can't remember what the name is, but you share, not a station, but you share the same sorting, if you will. I'll just call it sorting for the lack of, for the main source of this conversation. So she's next to me, I'm next to her. It ain't no big deal. We just working. But something in my spirit had told me to tell her this before we went to our break. So we are working together, and actually, Amazon, you really don't talk to people. Like, that's just the culture. You don't really, not all that talkative. Like, you just mind your business and work. Like, a lot of people just go to work and get home. They don't want to have friends. They don't care. I don't care. You don't care. Just shut up. Let me do my job and let me get up out of here. But something in my spirit had told me to tell her this, and I had to be vocal about it. And so, like, it was almost time to go to break, and basically we were about to go to break, but something told me to tell her this. I said, 2 years later, I said, ma'am, you don't remember me, but I remember you. I said, about 2 years ago, I had a conversation with you. I was an ambassador at the time, and you were, I think I actually told her, I said, you were very scary or nervous about keeping your job. Ma'am, I just want to congratulate you, because through all of the things that are that was in place then and was in place now, working at Amazon, I commend you for still being here. Congratulations, Miss Rita. I told her with those exact words. Where does this characteristics in me come from? I guess you could just say from wisdom, and a lot of people don't spread enough love in this day and age. A lot of people don't. And I've come to learn in the days as, no one is promised, that I am going to show as much gratitude as possible, especially if I may not see you again, or if I might not breathe again, that I will leave a speck of love to someone, whether they like it or not, whether they respond back to me or not. I will drop that in them, because who knows if they will ever have a situation where they will remember that moment I had with them and said these words. Because I remember when I was a kid, certain people said certain things to me, and I would ponder on that. And in certain situations, those jewels or that episode of my life, I remember, and I'm like, I remember this person said this, or I remember this person said that. Like, I remember so many things that I remember. Like, one of the things that one people told me is God, he would pray, and he would say, he would tell me that he would ask God, who can I bless today? That's what he would ask God when he prays. Who can I bless today? Now, this wasn't that type of case for me. It just comes out of me. It just comes out of my character. I'm just like that. I'm built like that. So anyway, I told her that. I'm like, ma'am, I just want to give you some form of gratitude of saying that congratulations, you've made it. And for you to still be here is quite odd, and you keep up. And so I just want to commend you for that. And she was like, of course, in this day and age, she didn't say thank you right away, but she said, well, how do you know me? She was just, going into she just wanted to know the details of how we met. And I had told her, all the other stuff about what I just told you about, I was an ambassador, yada, yada, yada. And I had told her I had left her with a jewel after we was reminiscing on how I met her initially. And I said, well, ma'am, I just want to tell you this before I go. I want to just leave this with you that, oh no, actually she told me, I can remember now. She said, well, actually I thought about leaving and doing problem solve. And she said, I thought about it. I said, ma'am, go for it. You know how I am. I tell people, get off of path and get coded. I should make a t-shirt for it, to get coded. Ambassadors, Amazon, people that work. If you're there for 30 days, get the freak out of being on path and get coded. You do what you do, you get paid, do your job, and that's it. Don't get paid, do your job, and fulfill a rate. That means you're working extra hours for someone that can get paid hourly. Do your job, and that's it. So I wanted to jump the gun and say, whoa, stop, yo, I didn't want to cut her off. I just kind of listened to what she said. And then I asked her, which I'm learning to do. I said, oh, that's cool. Would you like my opinion on that? And she said, okay. And then I just slowly spoon-fed. I almost spilled it all out, but I told her, spoon-fed, well, I think you should consider looking into that, because now you have another dimension at your job where there's, bullet point number one, if you don't feel like going to pack and you just want a break from pack, You can go do problem solve if you wish. Number two, bullet point number two, you won't have to strain your back and bend and do all this stuff when you have a rate. Because when you have a rate, your body is sore. I said, well, consider that, because you be doing your work and you can go to the bathroom freely. You can eat a snack as long as you do your job, and you will have less pain on your body. And three, you get to know other people and know more wisdom and experience. So, you get your dimension of your experience of another thing you know how to do at Amazon. You're physically resting. And number three is, you get to know more people, and you're just making yourself more available. So she listened to me, and then I told her my story, but she actually asked me. I didn't tell her. I didn't want to be like a chatterbox, but she asked me some questions, and I told her, what I'm doing in robotics in Amazon, and I used to do X, Y, and Z, and this is my experience. And we had a decent conversation, but unfortunately we had to go because it was time to go to lunch and we just wanted to utilize our lunch from working together. But I just told her, I said, ma'am, just consider that. And so again, this is just a video to display that, just be open, just be mindful, just have your public affairs suit on, and just have the spirit of telling someone, if they're a hero, tell them they're a hero. In these times, you don't know what someone is going through. Just impart something in their life. You know what I mean? It doesn't cost anything. It's free. If they don't listen, they don't listen. If they listen, they listen. How you doing? If they don't listen, they listen. If they listen, they listen. But it makes you feel better as a humanitarian and as a child of God. God loves people who share his message and his love. So that's all I have. I'm about to either work out or I'm trying not to eat something, because I don't like to eat and then go to bed. That's gonna add weight, fat automatically. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know I'm gonna get out of this air and before I see a fox or something. Because look, check this out. I'm like in the heart of the woods, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm right in the heart of the woods. So basically, I'm basically just going to just close out and just say, I'm gonna leave that message. But other than that, take it easy.